For years, whispers about Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew's so-called yacht life floated like distant echoes. People dismissed it, just background noise, a rumor too wild to stick. But now? Oh, darling, the whispers have teeth. Actual receipts have surfaced. And not the flimsy, half-baked tabloid kind. We're talking statements, testimony, insider words from people who were there, people who know. And these revelations, they don't just add another messy chapter to Meghan's story. No, no, no. They flip the entire book upside down. What you're about to hear isn't the fairy tale Meghan's PR machine sold to the world. It's darker, sharper, and far more dangerous. It ties Meghan to Andrew in ways most of us never even dared to imagine. We're talking whispers from prison walls. We're talking names surfacing in court filings. We're talking connections so sharp they can't be brushed aside. And let me tell you, this isn't just another royal scandal. This is the kind of bombshell that makes you question everything you thought you knew about Meghan Markle. And guess where it all begins? Not in a palace, not in Hollywood, but in the last place you'd expect, a prison cell. Yes, a prison cell. One voice from behind bars lit the fuse on a fire Meghan has fought her entire life to keep hidden. The Maxwell bombshell. Every time you think Meghan Markle's story has reached peak drama, another twist explodes out of nowhere. This time, it didn't come from a royal insider or a thirsty tabloid journalist. It came from none other than Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes, that Maxwell, the woman forever chained to the ugliest, darkest corners of Jeffrey Epstein's empire. For months, Maxwell had been silent, locked away, forgotten. But then, she spoke. And her words weren't riddles or hints. She aimed her manicured finger straight at Meghan Markle. According to a leaked prison statement, Maxwell suggested that Meghan wasn't just a Hallmark actress or a Hollywood hopeful before Harry swooped in. Oh no, she hinted there was a different CV floating around, and not the kind you send to casting directors. Maxwell described it chillingly. Playing the adult game. Just 5 little words, but enough to stop you cold. She didn't spell it out, but she didn't need to. The mind fills in the blanks. When someone like Maxwell, an insider who lived in Epstein's sinister world, drops a phrase like that, people listen, even if they don't want to. So what is this mysterious CV? It's not a resume of acting gigs, not a list of charity work, no auditions, no polished feminist duchess branding. No, this file, if it exists, is rumored to reveal a very, very different Meghan. A Meghan tied to adult-themed entertainment, private roleplay, circles of wealth and power with darker indulgences. Think about it. Meghan spent years building her fairy tale image, the underdog actress who captured a prince, the rebel duchess who broke away from palace chains, the modern feminist fighting for her voice. But if a file like that were ever proven real, it would rip her image to shreds. And here's the kicker. Once people even believe such a file exists, you can never erase the stain. Maxwell didn't just hint at a scandal. She planted a ticking time bomb right in the middle of Meghan's carefully curated story. Court filings, Meghan's name surfaces. But darling, it doesn't end with Maxwell's whispers. Meghan's name didn't just float around as prison gossip. It showed up in court filings connected to Virginia Giuffre, the woman who took on Epstein and exposed Prince Andrew's role. Virginia wasn't some outsider looking in. She was the key witness, the woman who dragged Andrew into the harsh light, forcing him to answer questions he'd rather bury. And here's the stunner. According to Virginia's lawyer, she and Meghan knew each other. Not a polite hello at a cocktail party, not some distant, "Oh, I've seen her once" connection. They knew each other, which means Meghan wasn't as far removed from Epstein's dark circle as she has always claimed. Her testimony could have been valuable. Who was on the yacht? Who was in the room? Who was part of the arrangements? These weren't abstract questions. They were the very threads used to build the Epstein-Andrew scandal. And Meghan's name being tied to those threads? That's the nightmare she prayed would never see daylight. Because once your name shows up in filings, the story changes forever. Meghan stops being the Duchess, the rebel, the victim of palace cruelty. Instead, she becomes someone who might have known more than she ever admitted. And if Maxwell lit the match, Meghan's documented connection to Andrew poured gasoline on it. In those filings and insider accounts, Meghan wasn't described as just a passing acquaintance or a casual associate. The words used were far more intimate, close companion. And that phrase matters. It wasn't chosen lightly. In legal context, words are carefully selected. An acquaintance is someone you wave to at a party. An associate might be a work contact, but close companion? That's deliberate. That means familiarity, trust, time spent together. It suggests Meghan wasn't standing on the sidelines. She was inside the circle. And being inside Andrew's circle? Oh, darling, that's a dangerous place to be. Because Andrew wasn't just another royal cousin. He was the face of one of the ugliest crises the monarchy has ever seen, the scandal that blew open when Epstein's secrets began crawling into daylight. So imagine Meghan there, not yet Harry's wife, not yet Duchess of Sussex, just a young woman orbiting powerful men in powerful circles. That description, Andrew's close companion, reframes everything we thought we knew about her. This isn't guilt by association, this is intimacy, this is access. And in scandals like Epstein's, access can mean everything. Meghan's track record with the truth. But the Meghan problem doesn't stop with who she was close to. It stretches into a more dangerous territory, her own track record with honesty. Remember the book Finding Freedom? Meghan denied having anything to do with it. She let the press believe she wasn't involved, leaned on that claim in court, and painted herself as blameless. But then came the receipts, emails, text messages, input that proved she had been working with the authors all along. When the documents dropped, Meghan had to humiliate herself with a backtrack. She didn't misremember. She had presented a completely false picture. And this wasn't some little white lie to a nosy reporter. This was under oath during legal proceedings. At best, she twisted the truth. At worst, she lied. So let's ask the chilling question. If Meghan could bend the truth when the stakes were low, when it was just about a book, what happens when the stakes involve Epstein, Andrew, and federal investigations? Does she suddenly become transparent? Or does she double down, reshape the truth, and play the selective memory card all over again? Her history, darling, gives us a clue, and it's not one that inspires trust. The silence that screams critics called it avoidance. Supporters called it strategy. But for the public, the silence left a single, dangerous question. What if she really does have something to hide? In the court of public opinion, silence looks like guilt. Denials look like spin. And if she dares to sue, discovery happens. And discovery is brutal. It means evidence gets dragged into the light. If a document like that exists, discovery would haul it out for everyone to see. And when Epstein's shadow touches you, whispers turn into headlines. Headlines harden into scars that never fade. The fragile brand. For years, Meghan has poured energy into building her brand. The pastel lifestyle businesses, the curated jars of jam, the glossy interviews, the podcasts, the Hollywood rollouts, every photo shoot, every Instagram perfect smile, all carefully polished. To her supporters, she's the modern duchess who escaped the crown to find her own freedom, but all of it looks fragile, like glass, when placed next to the bonfire of Epstein and Andrew. And here's where Meghan's entire strategy becomes crystal clear. Right now, she's betting on one thing: time. She smiles for the cameras, she pushes the lifestyle brand, she waves, she poses, she curates, and she pretends the whispers don't exist. But here's the cruel truth about secrets. Time isn't always your friend. Secrets have a nasty habit of surfacing when you least expect them. You can't outrun a shadow this dark. You can't Instagram filter your way out of it. You can only hope the fire dies out before it burns down everything you've built. The Maxwell trigger. And so we circle back to where this entire storm began. Ghislaine Maxwell, locked in a prison cell, shackled to the ugliest corners of Epstein's empire. And yet, her words detonated louder than any tabloid ever could. She didn't drop Meghan's name casually. She didn't do it for fun. She used language that burns into memory, playing the adult game. Those 5 words planted themselves like poison in Meghan's story. And she whispered about a file, a so-called CV, that, if ever dragged into daylight, could obliterate Meghan's carefully crafted life. From the outside, Meghan's world still looks polished. The pastel photos, the jars of jam, the carefully lit podcasts, the endless PR spin. But behind the curtains, her silence tells another story. Silence that doesn't protect her. Silence that fuels suspicion. The crossroads. So Meghan stands at a terrifying crossroads. There are only 2 paths in front of her. On one side, the alleged CV remains buried forever. It never leaks. It never appears. It becomes a phantom that haunts whispers but never shows its face. If that happens, Meghan survives. Her brand limps on. The fairy tale, though cracked, stays intact. On the other side, the nightmare. The CV, real, fake, twisted, or exaggerated surfaces. And if that day comes, Meghan will be trapped with no exit. Her silence, her denials, her carefully polished PR machine won't matter. That document will define her. Instead of being remembered as the duchess who broke away from the palace, she'll be painted as a woman who carried secrets too dark to ever admit. The harsh reality. And here's the harshest reality of all. Meghan doesn't have to be guilty of anything. She doesn't have to be complicit. She doesn't even have to know the full truth. She only has to be close enough for people to wonder. Because once Epstein's shadow touches your name, it clings forever. A whisper becomes a headline. A headline becomes a scar. And scars never fade. Meghan has built herself into a brand, yes. But brands are fragile things. One leak, one damning phrase, one reckless whisper from a prison cell, and the palace of glass shatters into dust. the endgame. And that, darling, is where the story lands. Not in a glossy magazine, not in palace feuds, but in the words of Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted insider, a woman with nothing left to lose. Sitting in a prison cell, she dropped Meghan Markle's name into the darkest scandal of our time. She didn't do it lightly. She didn't do it as gossip. She did it with words that cut like knives, playing the adult game, and she hinted at a file that, if revealed, would be Meghan's undoing. From the outside, Meghan's world may still sparkle, but behind the curtains, silence has become her loudest answer. Silence that feeds suspicion, silence that fuels whispers, silence that might one day drag her entire empire down. The world is watching. Either the file remains buried forever, or one day it comes crashing into daylight. And if it does, Meghan's past won't just be exposed, it will define her. The endgame is brutally simple. One path leads to survival, the other leads to total collapse. And Meghan? She's standing right at the edge.